The first generation TrimUI Smart Pro has a legendary status in the retro handheld space for offering amazing value at a really competitive price. And today we've got our hands on the TrimUI Smart Pro S, the successor to the Smart Pro, and it's got some big shoes to fill. In this video, I'm going to walk you through everything: the design, the screen, the performance, the software, the good, the bad, and who this thing really is for. This is Jay, and welcome to another episode of Respawn 5 to 9. So what makes the TrimUI Smart Pro S different from the million other devices from the likes of Anbernic and Retroid and all the other heavy hitters? Well, at its core, this is a Linux-based emulation handheld where most other devices in this form factor feature Android. This combination worked really well for the original TrimUI Smart Pro because it opened the device to a bunch of unique custom operating systems that could push the hardware to new levels. The new Smart Pro S here tries to repeat the same formula with more powerful performance and efficient cooling. And TrimUI has this bad boy priced at $105 plus shipping. Sounds like a win, right? Well, let's find out. Let's start with the hardware design, cause this is where I find this device to really shine. The TrimUI Smart Pro S has a horizontal layout similar to a PSP. It feels lightweight but not cheap. There's a fan on the back to keep things cool when you're pushing the SoC hard. On the top side, you've got an OTG Type-C with a power button, a quick settings button, and the volume rockers. The bottom has the power delivery and charging port along with a 3.5mm headphone jack and an SD card slot. This is the kind of device you can throw into a bag without worrying too much about it getting damaged. But you should get a screen protector because this screen can scratch real easy, and there are a few fit and finish imperfections, but that's kinda nitpicking because the overall hardware here feels really solid. All things said, this gives me confidence that this is a great everyday use beater device. It's also relatively slim and the controls don't jut out, making it pretty pocketable. Slips into most jeans just fine. The front of the device is dominated by the screen. It features a non-touch screen 4.96-inch IPS display with a resolution of 720 by 1280. For a retro handheld at this price, that's an impressive and sharp display. Though I have noticed a bit of backlight bleeding on black backgrounds, but it's minimal and only shows when you're displaying all black on the screen. When you're actually playing a game, it's not noticeable and it could probably be fixed with a bit of software calibration. Now the screen is fully laminated, which means there's no visible gap between the glass and the display, which I love. Colors actually look vibrant, contrast is solid, and viewing angles are pretty decent. Text is sharp, which is especially noticeable when navigating menus or playing PSP games with a lot of UI elements. Now, I've used the TrimUI brick and I love the screen on that device, but always found it a bit too tiny for PSP and PS1 emulation. But the screen size on this here makes games feel so much more immersive. PSP games in particular benefit a lot from the extra screen real estate. You're not squinting at tiny text and you don't feel like everything is cramped. Even classic 4x3 systems look great with clean scaling and minimal distortion. This is not a perfect screen, but when you consider the overall price, I think it's easy to appreciate it. Moving on to the controls, the layout is familiar and comfortable. You've got a standard D-pad on the left, you've got your face buttons on the right, your shoulder buttons at the top, and dual analog sticks. The D-pad is responsive and accurate, which is crucial for retro games, especially platformers and fighting games. It's really similar to the one on the TrimUI brick, and I love that D-pad. The face buttons have a nice click to them, not too mushy, not too stiff. The analog sticks are another highlight. These are upgraded sticks compared to earlier TrimUI devices, and they're improved and feel smooth and precise. You also get clickable L3 and R3 buttons. The shoulder buttons are larger than expected and are comfortable to use for longer play sessions. Though L2 and R2 here are micro switches, so don't expect any full range of motion on those. There's also RGB lighting around the analog sticks. This is purely cosmetic, and whether you like it or not will come down to personal preference. If you don't like it, just turn it off, but personally I love me some RGB flair. Now let's jump to performance, cause it's got an S in the name, and you know, S usually stands for speed, right? Well, the TrimUI Smart Pro S is powered by an all-winner A523 processor paired with a Mali GPU and 1GB of RAM. Now these aren't your flagship level specs, but are a considerable upgrade over the previous generation. The goal here is for this device to be a PSP replacement, and for that system and almost everything below it, This device performs decently well. I have seen a few YouTubers complain that the performance in there with demanding titles, but I've been able to run God of War Chains of Olympus at 30 frames and I find that pretty playable. Though there are a few titles that struggle with frame rates, but the vast majority of games in the PSP library and below will run really well even at 2x resolution. For your classic systems like NES, SNES, Game Boy and Game Boy Advance and Sega Genesis, performance is pretty much flawless. You can run these systems at full speed with filters, shaders and enhancements with no issues at all. PlayStation 1 emulation is also excellent with smooth gameplay and accurate audio in most titles. But I can't figure out how to bump up the resolution on this system using RetroArch. The games would look a lot better with a higher resolution, and I believe the system here has the performance and hardware to do that. I just, for the love of God, can't figure out how to bump it up. If you've got an idea, please let me know in the comments. The fan here helps keep temperatures under control and allows the system to maintain performance during longer gaming sessions. The fan is audible in quiet environments, but it's not overly loud or distracting. Most of the time, game audio will drown it out. This device at its core is a PSP replacement. More demanding games may require tweaking settings such as lowering resolution or disabling certain effects, but overall, the PSP experience here is impressive for a device in this category. Now, the software is often where budget handhelds either shine or fall apart. The Smart Pro S runs a Linux-based operating system like I previously said, with a front end designed for emulation. The interface is clean and fairly easy to navigate even if you're new to Linux handhelds. That being said, there is a bit of a learning curve if you want to get the most out of this device. Now you see, the original Smart Pro was released sometime in 2023, giving that device the advantage of a lot of time, where with each little software update, the device got more efficient and packed in more features. There's a high likelihood that the same would happen here, but you're gonna have to wait for a bit. The stock CrossMix OS in its current state is missing Portmaster support, and the only other custom OS that's relatively bug-free and feature-loaded is Spruce OS, and it's what I have here on my system. While the screen here is sharp, some UI elements come off looking like they're of a lower resolution. Some Portmaster games aren't optimized to run well on this device and have graphical glitches, but these are things that can be fixed easily. If you enjoy tinkering and customizing your devices, this is a plus. If you just want something that works perfectly with zero setup, this might feel like extra effort. I'll be absolutely honest here. I've found it easier to set up and customize Android handhelds than I did with the TrimUI Smart Pro S here. Now, NextUI and a bunch of other options could probably reach us soon, but at the current state, besides the stock OS, Spruce OS is the only other option you can download. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are included, which opens up a lot of possibilities. You can connect to the internet for updates, transfer files, and even use external controllers. Wi-Fi performance can be a bit inconsistent depending on the firmware, so it's not flawless, but it's functional enough for most use cases. Battery life on the TrimUI Smart Pro S is decent. You can expect around 5 to 6 hours of gameplay depending on screen brightness, system load, and whether the fan is running heavily. Now, this isn't amazing, but it's perfectly acceptable for a handheld of this size and power level. Charging is done via USB-C, which is always a plus, and unlike a lot of cheaper Linux handhelds, you don't need to worry about what charger to use. This device will charge with absolutely anything. Audio quality is fine, but unremarkable. The built-in speakers are clear enough for retro games, but they won't blow you away. You could use the standard headphone jack if you want better sound or if you're playing in public. So what's it actually like to use day to day? The screen is great, the controls are solid, and performance is great for PSP and below. And given how well it's priced and built, you wouldn't mind tossing it into a pocket without a case. Now, if you're a retro gaming fan looking for a daily use portable system with a 5-inch screen and solid PSP performance, the TrimUI Smart Pro S is a strong contender, though you've got some strong competition coming in from the likes of the new kid on the block, Mangmi, with their Air X. The Smart Pro S is the kind of device that shines months after release when the software is more optimized and it's in line with the quality of hardware here. You should get it if you want a fun secondary device just to play your PSP collection, and it is a better alternative than the bunch of cheap vertical handhelds available in the market. You can toss it around without being too worried about it breaking, though like I said, this device needs some time to cook in the oven. Now let me know in the comments, what do you think about the TrimUI Smart Pro S? What games would you play first on it? Personally, I've been playing a lot of the top-down shooters given the dual analog sticks here. Anyways, thanks for watching. This is Jay signing out.